you got caught dancing for the first time in a long time.
It's so much. The music is so much better this year. So much better.
Yeah, I noticed that they changed that. So, sorry we're late, folks. We have had a bit of technical difficulties tonight. We couldn't get linked to some stuff, and then Chris's laptop decided it wanted to die 2 minutes before the show came online. So we are finally got live now. So welcome back to another episode of Britball with the Breens. I know we haven't been around an awful lot this season. A lot going on, unfortunately, on both our lives at the moment. But we are back for a bit of a review. So we've got a few weeks to cover this week, Chris. Evening, Russell. How are you? Got a few things to cover this week. I guess realistically, there's been a few shocks, could it be said, in the last couple of weeks. There's been a few brilliant games, few shockers. I think we've had a bit of everything, to be honest with you. But one thing it's definitely assured is that I think we need. I don't even know if I can log into our Twitter. I think you've got it. But I was thinking myself, this person here will probably enjoy that. I don't know why Dunfermline fancied putting up that. See, now this is something we'll get onto, right? And Aaron is quite right. SFC1, you can bugger off. I swear to God, try to do power rankings for the SFC1 is nigh on impossible. Like literally,
but you say that though. But let's be honest, the SFC1 is brilliant.
Oh, it's class. Like it's class if you're not doing power rankings, right? But if you're doing power rankings, it's the most frustrating thing in the world. How do you get the Blitz beat the Stallions away from home? The Hornets beat the Stallions. No, the Blitz beat the Hornets. The Blitz beat the Stallions at home. Then, who was it? I can't even remember what it was.
If you give me a second,
the three of them were mixed up basically, and then they've all beat each other away from home. Like, not even by like one score. Like one of them was 22-0, and then they got beat the week after by the team that had been beaten by the team they beat. And I was like, how? Like, how does this happen? Like, we'll get onto that in a minute. I think for a few things for me to take away, right? First of all, I'm due the Cambridgeshire Cats a bit of an apology. They have been by far better than I thought they were going to be. By far. Like, I know they signed. Is it Sam Huxtable's his name? The QB, and I know that they've got a good squad, and realistically, I just maybe don't think they turned up for that final last year like they should have. But they have competed. Like, don't get me wrong, they're playing the Warriors this week, right? So I might be saying, "Oh, sorry for this," and then they go and get humped. But realistically, everyone gets humped by the Warriors over the years.
Valid.
And it's not a embarrassing thing if you get beat 60-70-0 by them. So that's the first thing. Second thing, what did I say to you at the start of the season about I can't even remember how you say it, Wakefield? What did I say to you at the start of the season? They might fancy that division.
Yeah, I think I said I thought they would still finish fourth, so I'm probably not particularly popular down in the Wakefield District Penitentiary.
Well, yeah, and you know this, they are doing well. They drew with Gateshead, but realistically, I don't know. Gatesheads are shifting points like big style.
Yeah, both ways though. Like they're scoring points, but they're shifting points.
Yeah, like that game against Doncaster Mustangs was absolutely mental. You know, so
unreal.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the FC West mental. That's the other one. Like, so I can't remember who went to South Wales first. Was it Rushmore? It was Bobcats, right? Bobcats put up 55 on Rushmore, go to Wales, get thumped, and then Hertfordshire walk into Wales the next week and thump them back. I'm like I thought South Wales were maybe just really tough at home. I'm thinking, oh, well, they may be just tough at home. They have been over the years. That might be the thing. And then Hertfordshire go, nah, blow them away.
I think
it's mental.
It's mental, but like I think what that tells you is that all the teams are good. Like, all the teams are good. Like, you know, you even talk about like the Oxford Saints being 0-3 in that division so far. Oxford Saints are still good. Like, these teams are all good football teams. And I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it.
Yeah, you know this. I say that for a neutral, it's absolutely brilliant. I'm sure for the teams and any fans that are watching, it's absolutely brilliant. I swear to God, for doing power rankings, it's just nice. Every time I put something up, I think, oh, that looks all right, and then next week I'm like, oh God, I'm getting sick. And the Premiership's easy. Like, it is. The Premiership's easy to do, but Division 1 and Division 2 are nothing short of really, really difficult.
I mean, Division 2's always been a toss-up for something like that, though, hasn't it? Like, it's never been really easy. Like, you can call the teams within their own division, but as for like cross-divisional, you're like, I have no idea, because like they're kind of set up like, the way it is. It just makes it quite difficult to see what it's going to be like when they play each other, isn't it?
Yeah. So something interesting for me, right? And this is something I was discussing with somebody online. Last year, I picked that the Division 2 winner would come between Norwich and Bristol, right? Norwich didn't turn up. What hell has happened to them? Like last week, they blew the Essex Spartans away, like blew them away. So what has happened from being in the quarterfinals of the playoffs and just not showing up at all? And I know they had their injury concerns on O-line and QB, but to then go put 60 points on Essex Spartans, like it's crazy, right? It's totally blowing my mind this year, the difference in some of the team scores. And even last week, the Sheffield Giants got absolutely cuffed by the Nottingham Caesars. Granted, it's away from home, but then last week, ran them really close. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's a travel thing from Nottingham to there, but like, I mean, what was it, 30-point swing? Something close to that?
Something like that, yeah.
And that stuff we just can't account for that. Like, and something I found really hard to do. That's why the power rankings aren't going out every week, because I'm waiting a couple of weeks to see what happens.
Yeah.
You know this. So someone else I've spoke to somebody about, right? I have a bit of a bugbear with the East Kent Mavericks, right? And it's not because they're a bad team or anything like that. I have a bugbear with people that drop down from Premiership to Division 2 to win championships. That bugs me, right? Go compete with the people that you should be competing with. However, week 1, even if the weather was absolutely shocking, right? They scraped past the East Essex Sabres, and then Ipswich and East Essex Sabres was a one-score game. So I'm like, oh, might be a close game between East Kent Mavericks and Ipswich. Blew them away, like 38-0 or something. Like, I'm sitting at home going, oh my God. And we text a lot, so we've obviously got a group, American football group, we chat away in. I'm sitting there, I can't get over it. Like, I'm actually struggling to watch the season without actually knowing who's doing what. So it is a really interesting season. Is there anything that stood out to you this year so far?
Scunthorpe Alphas, I know they've only played 2 games, but they went toe-to-toe with Northumberland, and I thought, maybe a bit of first game of the season rust from Northumberland's standpoint, that sort of thing. And then I watched the Northumberland Vikings slap the living daylights out of the Lancashire Wolverines, and I was like, hold on a minute, how good are the Scunthorpe Alphas? It's not that I expected them to be bad. It's just, Northumberland Vikings are a team that at the start of every year should be thinking, we are aiming for the Premier Division. And I was quite shocked by that to see it. And then, they then followed that up with a absolutely thumping win over the Darlings team. That wasn't a surprise. But yeah, that one caught me off guard. I think the Cambridgeshire Cats, as you say, I mean, to lose in the manner they lost in the Division 1 final, I don't think it's unreasonable to then be thinking, you're playing the Warriors, you're playing the Blitz, you're playing Solent, you're playing Bristol. How bad is this going to get? And, the first game against Solent was brilliant, but they just fell short. And then this game against, the second game against Solent, they handed out an ass kicking. So they're another team that's been interesting to watch. The Premiership North, right? Not the Manchester Titans. They're clearly the best team in that division. There is absolutely no doubt about it in my mind. Second place.
Yeah,
right?
Who's going to?
Right now, the Wolves are probably the favourite.
You think so?
But yeah.
So this is another one, right? So I seen a couple of posts on social media last week from some Leicester players, right? Who having ran Tamworth extremely close. Let's be honest. Like it was a one-score game almost the entire game until the fourth quarter. Ran them extremely close, and have suddenly posted up that they're going to leave and go to Tamworth because Leicester are a building squad. Like, how can you look at that and go, right, wait, it was 14-6 for almost the entire game. Our squad's building, so I think I'm going to go to that squad and play. That squad hardly beat you. If you're a building squad, you should be going, oh, we almost beat Tamworth. Next year we'll have them. Like, logic is just totally bonkers to me.
There's a Guy Kersey-based joke in there, but I'm not going to make it. I'm above that level, you know. I don't stoop to that standards. I don't understand that as well. I think, you know, we kind of, you kind of, I don't want to say laid into East Kent Mavericks. You didn't really, like, just saying about guys dropping down. Now, I've spoken a few times to one of the Olympians coaches. I think he's maybe the head coach, Murray Dumas. Apologise if I've mispronounced that. But the Olympians are a team that really bother me because they are a very, very good football team. They go up to the Premier Division. They kind of lambast for a little bit. And then there's last year, I know you maybe said it was multiple forfeits and got kind of bullets at you for that one, but it was one forfeit, and then, you know, they were relegated, and then it was the same the last time there was forfeits, they got relegated, and then they turn up in Division 1 and they look like king shit again, and I'm like, that irritates me, right? I find that really, like it's not like these teams, you know, that they were necessarily competing in the Premier Division, and you think, well, you know, they just got relegated, maybe they've still got all the talent and stuff. It always seems to be disaster, and then we're really good football team again, and that annoys me a little bit. But, you know, it's
well, it doesn't help when there's even more teams in London that are trying to get through the associate process. Yes, we know.
There could just be There could just be a London league at this point.
Yeah. Now, you know this, right? London is big enough to host 5 or 6 teams. It is. It's what, 7 million people? More than that now.
There's more people in London than Scotland, right?
So... Yeah, it can hold 5-6 teams, right? Fair enough. But why do you need any more? Like, at the moment, there are solid teams all over that area. Why do you need any more? And even on the outskirts, like, I know Hertfordshire probably on the outskirts, Oxford are on the outskirts, but even on even other teams, the London Hornets, I don't actually know where they play in London. I think it's, I want to say North, but I could be totally wrong. But there's so many teams in London that are good teams. Like the Hornets are good teams, Hertfordshire, Oxford, you know, obviously the Warriors, the Blitz, the Olympians, Kent, all these guys, they're all good teams. Like, why don't you just go join one of them? And it's not like they're not spread across all 3 divisions. They are. Like, there are teams in London across all 3 divisions. Go play for one of the teams that's there, you know? And you're right. The Olympians, you know this. To be fair to the Olympians, they've been up in the Premiership for a while, right? I think 2015 they won. They played in Division 1 against Manchester, did they? And lost in the final. And so they have been up in the Premier Division for a while this time, right? And if they needed to rebuild and they wanted to come down and not get thumped every week in order to do that, that's fine. Did you see the size of their left tackle that's went away to GFL?
I haven't seen him, no.
Honestly, Chris, he's a mountain of a man. Like, he is genuinely huge. And I'm thinking, if they've got any boys like him on the rest of the O-line, they'll do just fine in the Premiership. He is huge.
Yeah.
And granted, they've just lost him to the GFL, which is great for him. And it's great for Olympians, really, if you're sending players to Europe.
Well, it's an attractive sell point, isn't it? We're sending teams to Europe. Sending players to Europe, come to us, we'll develop you, Breen. And I think it's the thing, like, you know, I get they're in a bit of a rebuild. I get they've been in the Prem for a while again, but I don't know, it just, there's something about it, it irritates me, and I'm sure it'll upset people. It's not against the Olympians per se, it's just, you know, it just always seems a bit weird when you go down on the back of a year where you've had a forfeit or whatever, and then the next year you're potentially challengers for the division.
I think they're potentially just at that level though. Just now, I think they're potentially just at the level where they just weren't good enough for the Prem last year, but they're probably a little bit too good for Division 1. But even then, like even then, they've done well so far, right? And Norwich look like they are a decent team, so they were the only team that they were a team so far that gave them a good game.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting one to see, because when they come up against the likes of Nottingham or Yorkshire, what we're going to see are they going to be as dominant? Like, I don't know. I think probably they are going to be pretty strong all year, but are they going to be as dominant as maybe Leicester and East Kilbride would have been over the years in Division 1? I can't see it, to be honest, but we'll see. But yeah, I don't. Is this the name of the team? Is it Mill Hill North London?
Oh no, it was Hurricanes.
Oh, no, is that what
I
it
see.
is?
Right. Yeah, it was some
it is.
Hurricanes or whatever.
This is funny. Is that because you can get to them all on the tube? Is this Oyster card?
I'd assume so. Yeah.
Just getting the underground to an away game is the dream. Yeah, imagine that. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah, but
we've
seen that.
Yeah, we've seen this. We'll come on to this actually, Tony. But yeah, again, it's still not it's a close game. That it's not.
Yeah. The thing is like you say about the Oyster Card conference being able to go everywhere on the tube. I guarantee you still go on social media going, we had to travel by train to get to our away opponents. It was such a hardship.
I noticed you went fishing this week. I seen it about the NFL Seattle Seahawks traveling.
Oh yeah, and I didn't get any bites. It was a shame.
Yeah, you went fishing and got no nibbles.
Came up with nothing. Bupkiss, which is unusual because normally Davey Butler chimes in and kicks everything off for me, so it wasn't too bad. I normally get somebody out of the ropes going, "You don't have to post everything negative on social media. How dare you say something that is not completely positive all the time?" And it makes my day to see something like it's like it could be like the simplest thing, and somebody's just like, how dare you say that?" And it's just like,
I know. It is interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. Before I actually go on, I think we'll actually have a look at my power rankings, right? And I think we'll take some advice from you and take some advice from some of the people here, right? But first of all, I'd just like to share this picture, right? I'll see if you can think why I'm sharing this picture.
Is it one of these once you see it, you can't unsee it?
No, it's not. No. I'm just going to share it for 2 seconds and just see if you know what I'm talking about. Come on, think. Why would a guy be out with a watering hose? What game has been called off because of a
well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if anyone. I don't know what the weather's like. Spins back home. I mean, it kind of had as much rain as we've had out here the past few days. But yeah, watering hose. Yeah.
Like
the longest.
Someone a little bit fishy me. You've not scored a single point all season, and you're supposed to be playing the best team in the division. Oh, the pitch is warlocked. Now, we've seen the state of the East Kent Mavericks versus East Essex Sabres game. We've seen the state of the Colchester versus Sussex game. That's waterlogged, right? I expect it to be a swimming pool before you're calling that off.
I mean, if someone can send us a picture and it literally looks like a swimming pool, then fair enough. But it's a bit sus. It's dodgy circumstances at best.
Well, especially this close, yeah. Let's just say that I'm not convinced that certain team should be pulling out of games.
But while you're looking for your power rank, is one thing from this season so far. A lot of teams have decided this was the year to buy new uniforms, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And so far, nobody has missed, right? And it's the Sandwell Steelers got a new one with sort of the Black Country logos or whatever, something to do with it on the crest or whatever on their shoulders. Looks sick. Aberdeen Roughnecks actually got 2 new uniforms as well. They look sick. Highland Stags, theirs looks sick. The Northumberland Vikings, theirs does look sick, although my rule of every all black and all white uni looks good, so therefore none are good, but they still look really good. And obviously you have Nottingham who rebranded to a prison service, but it's still, they still look good in the process. So yeah, it's been a good year for teams adding uniforms to their new unis because they actually all look good so far.
And on that note, if there are any Roughnecks listening, make sure that old number 1 shirt, red, finds its way to my door and I can pay for it so I can get it framed. I've been wanting it for years.
I don't know whether to be offended or not at the fact that they didn't buy 16 in the new jerseys. I mean, maybe they just felt like nobody else should wear it, but I don't know.
What we're thinking here, by the way? What we're thinking?
I can't see it.
Oh, it's not.
Is it your power rankings? Yeah, it's not coming up.
No, it's not my power rankings. What we're thinking?
I can't see it. No one's coming up for me. I'm just getting
is
up
it
on the
not?
screen.
I'm hovering the Darlington Steam thing over the scumbag move.
We'll have to give them the benefit of the doubt, don't we?
Well, we'll leave them off until we see. We'll leave them off until we see how waterlogged that pitch is.
Yeah.
If anyone is willing to send us a picture of that waterlogged pitch, then please do so. Because where I am, it's a glorious sunny day, and I know we're a fair bit away from Darlington, but still.
I don't even know where it is.
I'll try and. What's that?
I don't even know where it is, but I mean, I watched the Newcastle.
It's just south of Newcastle.
I mean, I watched the Newcastle game against Leeds, and that was absolutely glorious weather down that way as well. But
yeah, in terms of us, it's just south of Newcastle, right? But
that's pretty much the entirety of England.
It's just south. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, right. So let's have a look at this. Right. So this is. You can still see my screen.
It's not coming up again.
So the Division 1, the Premiership ones are fine. It's all right. I've not dragged that across yet. So it's been wonky. You see it now?
No. It's loading, but no one's coming up.
Why is it not sharing it? Oh,
maybe you're just too painful to show them. Maybe it's just like, no, absolutely not. I'm not having it. It doesn't want to show them online.
Actually, I don't know why it's not. I don't know why it's not doing that. It's been a pain today. But yeah, basically, I'm going to share this. Share the power rankings here, right? So you can see them now, right? So
no.
well, everybody else can see them, right?
So just me that can't see them. Okay.
Yeah, it must be, right? So 1, Manchester Titans, easy. 2, London Warriors, easy. Bristol Aztecs, 3, London Blitz, 4. We'll find out exactly which order that should be in tomorrow. Tamworth Phoenix in 5, Edinburgh Wolves 6, Thrashers 7, East Kilbride 8, Cambridgeshire 9, Kent 10. Right now, Cambridgeshire are going to jump up here because they should be above Solent based on the 2 games they've played, just logic that way. Don't know. Do I think they go above Edinburgh?
I actually question whether Edinburgh go above Tamworth, but I will have to wait and see for that game to be played, I guess.
Yeah, so how much did Edinburgh beat East Kilbride by last week?
Ooh, just bear with me. Uno momento, I shall tell you.
It was enough. It was 37-7, right?
Yeah.
Tamworth have just beat them 23-9. So realistically, in that scheme of things, the Wolves should go up to number 5.
Yeah, the Wolves were on the road as well, and Tamworth were home, I believe. But yeah, it's only a small difference, but it's maybe enough given.
It is, but do Tamworth drop below Cambridgeshire?
No.
You think they're still there?
Yeah, I think so.
So Cambridgeshire will obviously move up to number 6. No, 7. They'll move up to 7 because, quite frankly, they've done enough to justify that. East Kilbride, the Thrashers will move down to 8. East Kilbride will move down to 9. And Kent will stay where they are because realistically, there's probably no one else that's going to beat them. So, as I said, Premiership's pretty easy, right? No problems with the Premiership. But Division 1 is a totally different kettle of fish, right?
Yeah.
Why does it not change now? Like, I've just closed the Premiership one and opened the Division 1 one, and it's not showing on the screen. Oh, this is going to be a pain if I've got to do this every time. Sorry, folks. So this is Division 1, right? So here's where it gets hard, right? Now, in my opinion, until the Yorkshire Rams get anybody run them close, I still think that they are one of the best teams in asking a Breen where Wakefield District is. Well, I
just
only know because it used to
Newcastle.
be Nottingley. Yeah, I think it's actually just west of Newcastle.
It's beside Leeds, isn't it?
No, I think it's west of Humber.
Yeah, but
I could be wrong. Well, I'm sure Aaron will tell us how wrong we are. Waterlogged pitch, yeah. In my opinion, until the Rams have someone run them close, I still think they're one of the teams to beat in Division 1, right? The Olympians, again, have proved that they're really good, and I think they deserve their place at 2. However, Nottingham Caesars, had the Nottingham Caesars repeated their first game feat, I think that they would be shifting right the way up. But because they were run closer by the Sheffield Giants in the second game, I think that they probably jump up to 3 above Hertfordshire, but only just. I think that clearly, I would say clearly those are the 4 best teams in Division 1.
Go run them through past me again, because I still can't see
the
them.
Yorkshire Rams, the London Olympians, the Hertfordshire Cheetahs, and the Nottingham Caesars.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you had like a 4A, I would say the Vikings are in there as well.
Yeah, so that's one team that are definitely going to move up, right? Because everybody else seems to just want to beat each other, and not maintain an unbeaten record. So I think that the Rams are probably still 1. The London Olympians probably 2. I think Nottingham probably go up above the Cheetahs just now. And I mean, it's harsh on the Cheetahs because the Cheetahs haven't lost, and they've looked impressive. But I'm not sure they'd beat Nottingham right now, as it stands. But we'll see. I think they're the top 4 teams, right? Outside of that, the 5th team, I guess, probably going to be Northumberland now. Right? There's realistic. Bournemouth went up because they absolutely thumped Rushmore, but then they got beat by South Wales Warriors. So I was like, oh, I could put the South Wales Warriors up there. But then South Wales Warriors went and got thumped by Hertfordshire. So I was like, oh, well, no, I can't shove them up there. So I think Northumberland probably jumped to 5. But from 6 down the way, it's totally bonkers, right? Let me start off with some explanation. And guys, you'll see where my thought process is here when I'm doing these. I don't just make these up out the top of my head, right? So at the moment, I had Bournemouth Bobcats in 5. They're going to drop, right? Because you can't put up no points at South Wales and hope to stay in my power rankings, right? So you're going to come out, right, altogether. The Hornets went and won 22-0 against the Blitzby away from home. Went to the Wembley Stallions, who the Blitzby beat and lost. Like, blow my mind, right? So they're probably going to drop as well, right? I don't know where they're going to drop yet, but they'll probably drop. Sheffield Giants, after the Nottingham game, I was like, well, they're going to come straight out of my power rankings. But then the second game, they ran Nottingham close. So they kind of probably still have to stay in the top 10. And they're at 8. So did they move? Probably not, right? I think they probably stay where they are. The Blitzby, they're 2-1. Say they've beat 2 decent teams, lost to the Hornets. Can they stay in the rankings? Potentially. Rushmore Knights, they probably can't stay in the rankings anymore, I wouldn't think. Looking in, you then have an interesting one in the division. Chester Romans, right? Did they draw with the Birmingham Bulls? Yeah, they drew with the Birmingham Bulls. Then they beat them in the second game. It wasn't by a lot.
I think the first game was played in absolute horrific conditions by what?
You mean it was played in a waterlogged pitch?
Couldn't possibly comment on such things. Could not comment.
I feel bad. No, I don't. So yeah. So Chester Romans have done well, right? But last year, other than Leicester, and Nottingham at the end of the season, they put up loads of points. They are not doing that this year, right? So that's an interesting one. Okay. Glasgow Tigers, right? Now, I know a few folk have actually messaged me to say that, oh, I think you should put Highland in. And I know Tom's going to sit here. And look, here's another one. Look,
Tom will be sitting there.
There's another one that's messaging me, right?
Please don't. Please don't do this to us.
Right. Now, here's my opinion, okay? Now, the Highland Stags came down to Aberdeen and beat them last week, right? But Aberdeen were missing their 2 best players, and one of them was their quarterback, right? So they were missing their QB and they were missing their star safety, right? Now, That's nothing to take any away from the Stags, because last year the Stags and Aberdeen had really close games as well. But I stood and watched the Glasgow versus Aberdeen game, and I can tell you now that that Glasgow squad is good. That game against Highland is going to determine who is top of that division, and I actually, whoever it is, I think will jump fairly high up this board, right? So, but my problem is just now, I think both Glasgow and Highland probably beat some of the FSV West. But again, because they all knock each other off, it's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
So the Samwell Steelers are playing Chester tomorrow, right? I think it's. Let me just check that.
Yeah, it is. You're
It
correct.
is.
Yeah.
So they're playing Chester tomorrow. Now I expect a totally different Sandwell Steelers team to show up this year. If they go beat Chester, Chester drop out my rankings, right? Even if it's a close game, I think they're going to have to drop out my rankings purely because of how close some of how close they were with the Bulls and that. But I still think that Glasgow are going to have to go into these rankings because they took 53 bodies to Aberdeen. 53 bodies away from home on a 3.5 hour bus journey, possibly 4 hours if you know.
Depends what the traffic is.
Yeah, and I can say this, right? If they can teach their right tackle to play football, like he is the biggest human I've ever seen. Like he's massive. He was head and shoulders above the rest of their offensive line, and they all must be well over my height, and
There's
I'm 6 feet tall.
some big dudes in there.
Oh yeah, they've got a defensive tackle as well. That's a big guy, but their right tackle who started the game, I think he's number 68, head and shoulders above every other O lineman on that team, which is ridiculous because we know some of the O line on that team. But he's very raw. Like if they can teach him to play, that Glasgow Tigers offensive line had backups that were big dudes that could play. And to me, I think they're going to jump into our power rankings at some point. So I think they'll jump in, right? Can you see the screen yet, or are you still blank?
No, I can see it. It just takes forever to load for me.
I think the Chester Romans will be in. And then I think that'll allow me to make up this. Now, one of the teams that was questioned was the Scunthorpe Alphas. Why can't you put the Scunthorpe Alphas in when they ran Northumberland close at home and they absolutely thumped Darlington's team the same as Yorkshire did? Now, let's take that with a pinch of salt, right? Yorkshire Rams were up 35-0 after a quarter, right? So there's a lot of running clock there. I know Darlington were up. I know Scunthorpe were up 40 odd at the half as well. But I think that Yorkshire probably took their foot off the gas. So I do Scunthorpe deserve to go in the top 10?
I mean, I'd argue.
Sure.
I think that the issue is I'd argue they probably should. The problem with the Rams is the only game the Rams have actually played so far is against the Darlington's team. Yes. That's the issue. We haven't seen them play anyone, but they were probably one of the pre-season favourites, and that's why they've not come down. You can't demote a team for beating the team that's in front of you. I think maybe how low you've got Northumberland is perhaps the reason why you don't have Scunthorpe in there. See, for me, as I say, Northumberland are like 4B, maybe.
Yeah, but if I'm moving them to 5, do you think that justifies putting Scunthorpe in?
I think it might, because with Sheffield, they ran Nottingham close the second time. I get that, but I don't think Sheffield have won a game this year. Bear with me. I don't.
And that's the other thing is if that's the case, no, they haven't. And it's like the other case is that Northants beat Sheffield. So do Northants deserve to be over Sheffield?
It's one of those. I mean, I don't really think the Northants games kind of worth discussing with regard to result. The game wasn't completed due to the unfortunate incident.
You'll see all these teams are on my list, by the way. They're all here. They're all looking in. Go Northants, Scunthorpe. They're all there but deciding who should be in the top 10 is really hard, right? But I think that gives a grounds there. I think that some of these I've bookmarked to come out. Some of them I've bookmarked, some of them in. So I think that gives us a good ground here. So let's try the last one, right? I don't know if this is actually going to work this time. Let's see if this works. Right, this is Division 2. And this is the one that I think most folk disagree with me on, which is fair. But I can tell you now,
yeah, but it's one thing.
moving down.
Bearing in mind, I've been in Division 2 for most of my career, if you want to call it that. Division 2 are always so angry about everything. Like, you put a power ranking up or a prediction up, they're so angry about it. Like,
yeah,
I've never understood it. It's all like, oh, you're doubting us, and it's like, well, no, not exactly. Like, we just don't think you're going to win this week. It's not like we're sitting there going, you're terrible. It's just, but yeah, I've always found that Division 2 always seems so angry about these things.
Yeah, right. Would you like to see an interesting thing just before we move on to Division 2, right? No, right? Because over the off season, teams can change, and the Scunthorpe Alphas had to travel a very, very, very long way to play Highland, right? And I know that we're missing a good few players. Nothing to take anything away from Highland, right? Highland beat them fair and square, and that's the way the playoffs work. But no, that does not really how it works in general, because Scunthorpe look like they have took a step up again, and until the Stags play Glasgow or Inverclyde, we won't know that that's the case, right? But interesting one. Wins in the bank should always trump potential, or maybe, yeah, kind of. That's debatable depending on who your wins are. But yeah, that's that. Olympians are high given competition so far. Yeah, but they've taken they've handled the competition they've had and looked pretty comfortable. What's this one say? What's the odds on Oxford Saints getting a win tomorrow? Who are they playing? Who's Oxford playing tomorrow?
I'm just looking for it.
I've got it open here, I think.
So do I. Oxford, Bournemouth Bobcats.
Oh, no, I don't.
I am not. No, that division. No, no. I'm not getting roped into that.
We're not going there. Not going there.
We're well there, but no, I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah, we're not the same team that won the bowl. Yeah, exactly. You change every year, I think. Everyone needs to travel. No, they don't. No. See, Nick, honestly, we know this problem, right? In Scotland, you have to travel, but down south, a lot of people think that over 2 hours is a long way, right? So Scunthorpe to Highland must have easy been 8 hours. Like that's a travel. Like, and it was on a week's notice, so that's a long way. But I know what you mean. Play Stags. SFC1 don't make a pick. Yeah.
Nicky, I don't know what you're talking about, right? Because now that the Stags have moved themselves to Inverness, great decision, right? It's actually quicker for you to get there from Glasgow than it is for us from Aberdeen, right? So did I give us that nonsense?
Yeah, I think it was about 8 hours from Scunthorpe to Inverness, Inverclyde, and for goodness sake, Invergordon, and that's a long way. So anyway, right, level 2, Division 2. Shropshire are going to move down. They've not lost, but they were hardly convinced in their first game. Somerset probably move up. Colchester probably move above them. Humber Warhawks have thumped who they're seeing, but it is Doncaster.
Yeah, but that was also the Doncaster Mustangs put up a good fight against Gateshead.
Yeah.
So it was actually a pretty impressive win from Humber as well.
Yeah. So how high do you put East Kent? Did they go to 1?
No, it's too early for that nonsense. I would put Somerset to 1.
I thought that. I thought these would be 1. I thought Somerset would be 1.
Did you just suffer a temporary lisp there, Somerset?
I think I maybe did. I put my finger in my mouth. So they probably got to 1. So the East Kent go above Colchester? Because guess who's playing them on?
Why don't you just wait and see?
Exactly. That's why I'm waiting until next week. So they're playing each other tomorrow, I think. Yeah, and Colchester's at home. So that's where they're going to fit somewhere in here, right? East Kent, Humber fine. Ipswich are going to move down, right? They've won decent game, but they got absolutely thumped by East Kent. Hereford have been good, so they'll probably stay where they are. Staffordshire Surge versus Shropshire tomorrow. Over the years, very competitive fixture. That's going to be interesting. Staffordshire have been way stronger this season so far than I expected. Shropshire, I thought would do better last week. Very interesting fixture. So, but they'll probably still all be in the rankings. Dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts probably need to shift up quite a
The
bit.
Dreadnoughts need to go in, right? I'm glad you brought this up. The 38-23 win over Cornwall, I was like, all right, okay, Cornwall have been decent in the last few years, fair enough. And then 41-0 over, it's Ouse Valley, isn't it?
Yes.
Ouse Valley. I was like, I didn't see that coming.
Ouse Valley beat somebody very comfortably the week before.
If you give me just a moment.
I can't remember who it was. Was it? No, it wasn't.
No, they lost 34-27 to Hereford, which in Hereford have looked good.
Ouse Valley did.
Yeah, 34-27 Hereford.
Who did they beat then?
No one.
Oh,
because they played.
Right.
They lost 34-27 to Hereford, which Hereford have looked good so far this year, and then got absolutely destroyed by the Portsmouth Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, so they're going to go up, right? Portsmouth are going to go up a fair bit. Berkshire are coming out. You're letting me down, guys. It's quite often. Is there any teams that are not on this list that you think deserve to be in? East Kent Mavericks, Portsmouth Dreadnoughts, Staffordshire Surge, Hereford Stampede, the Ipswich Cardinals will come out, Humber Warhawks, Colchester Gladiators, Somerset Wyverns, Shropshire Revolution.
Just let me have a look at what teams are available.
Because we need two places. If we're going to drop out Berkshire and we're going to drop out, who was the other one I mentioned there? Oh no, Ipswich is just coming down. So we're going to drop out Berkshire. We need somebody to replace them, and then I'll shimmy things about. But I can't think who's going to go in to replace these guys.
I mean, Division 2.
I'm looking at the standings here as well.
Do you dare put Wakefield in?
Well, you see, I'm telling you, I think if they thought they had any chance at that division, I think it's this year. I think I said this at this first show. I think that if they think we've got a shot at this division, it's this year. I think it is.
I mean,
Berkshire are 1-1.
They're 2-1, aren't they?
Not according to the standings, unless they've not been updated.
Oh, it's maybe Sportank's ones because I'm looking at them.
It's not updated. Yeah, because Ipswich Cardinals are definitely not 1-0. That's another team that's let me down big time this year. Is East Essex.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, the other one is Lincolnshire Bombers is the team that runs Shropshire close.
Yeah, but then they also lost to Lee.
Yeah,
the Bombers lost to Lee as well.
Yeah, it's probably going to have to be Wakefield, is it?
It might have to be. It might actually have to be.
Showing someone in his inner Worcestershire. I can't. I think I actually spoke to that, but I'll leave that off. Wakefield, yeah, it might have to be Wakefield. I think Lee Miners did look good week 1, and then got shellacked late week 2. They beat because Lee Miners beat Lincolnshire.
Yeah, this is the point we're speaking about. Berkshire coming out are in the Wyverns, and we thought the Wyverns would be good, but they shellacked the Renegades.
Yeah. So I think that gives us a good one. So I think realistically, I don't think Gateshead can go in either. But can you really justify putting Wakefield in when they drew with Gateshead?
I think if you can't put Gateshead in, you really struggle to put the His Majesty's Prison in. But I just don't know. I mean, I think, is there a team worthy of that 10th spot?
That's what I'm thinking. Right, but it lets me have someone to think about this week, right? Because I'm saying this week, but I'm away offshore again next week, so I probably won't get a chance to do them unless I do them tomorrow. So that'll do that then, right? So let's go into our normal. Let's go into our normal.
It's a bumper week this week, or it was a bumper week this week.
Now, something that you were going to mention, or something that you mentioned to me that is interesting. How many weeks have we had any games without any refs?
Well, this is what? Is this week 4 of the season?
Yeah.
Or is
this
it
is week 6.
Week 6 of the season, and we finally have a game that doesn't have officials.
Yep.
It's amazing.
And why is that?
Because the season was extended and the mandatory bye weeks removed. Good job. There we go.
Easy decision.
Yeah, 1 or 2 games a year, it's going to happen, right? But you get into week 6, and it has to be a bumper week for it to happen. And I know, given where the game without an officials are, I also know that part of it is due to an injury to an official. So, these things they're going to happen at some point, but what difference it's made, right?
But 4-man crew's a dream. 5-man crew's like the next
level. Four man's the minimum. They'll put to it. But no, and the thing is that the 2 of the games, the Aberdeen Roughnecks game is a 4 p.m. kickoff due to a doubleheader for the crew. So that there's guys, and I made this point so much last year when there was so much mud sort of being thrown about the lack of officials. The guys who are actually the officials on the field are going and working their arses off to make sure that these games are refereed as best as possible.
Apparently, and again, there's another missing one. Oh, we didn't know about this one.
Okay.
It's the first one I've been aware of. So
well, nobody's been mentioning it.
Even then, 1 or 2 in 6 weeks is
it's reduced from the 4 or 5 every week.
Yes. It's reduced from me having to ref. Let's just say that.
And everyone is grateful.
Yeah. Under 19 game in Edinburgh got priority for the. Oh God. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't really know whether that's the right thing to do or not, but
I think it is.
You think it is? Fair.
I think it is. Yeah.
To be fair, it's probably better to keep the kids safe than it is to. I think the adults would probably just be.
I think it's fair.
Yeah. Right. On to this then. So we've still got only 1 fall in this year. Bravo. Darlington might sneak their way into this scumbag area, depending on how.
If a watering hose is found anywhere near the vicinity, then yeah.
If anyone can show me a pitch that is properly waterlogged, I will happily leave them off this scumbag move.
I did see. Was there not a thing from the WHO this week, by the way, that's saying COVID is officially over?
Yeah.
So you could probably remove COVID out. Yeah.
Oh yes. Get out of there. Oh wait, I know what I can replace it with.
Golf.
Those who know. Yeah, I probably can take that off. That's a good sign. So yeah, unless I see some distinct evidence that field is totally waterlogged, they will be sticking into the sticking into. It reminds me. Do you remember the phone call they used to have? That was the call operator, and they were like Lassie's speaking as if she's from Scotland.
Oh, are you thinking about Rudy Jickett?
Yeah, Lassie's speaking as if she's from Scotland, and he's like that. He's like. Where are you? And she's like, Glasgow. And he's like, what's the weather like in Glasgow? And she's like, it's a really nice day.
We're Scotland's bank for Scotland. Run for Scotland by Scotland. Is that nae what your advert says?
Yeah. But then
are you really Basingstoke? I get it. It's quite clearly pushing it down in Dunfermline.
That's what it was, yeah. So that's an interest. We can look up the weather report in Darlington. While we do that, the game of the week this week is the London Blitz versus the Bristol Aztecs. Now, I'll let you go first while I check for Darlington's weather report. Who do you think's got this one?
This is to decide who finishes second in the division. I know that'll be deeply unpopular amongst probably every team bar one in the Prem, but the London Warriors look absolutely ferocious this year again. This is to decide who gets that second playoff spot. Now, last year, both the meetings between these two teams were decided by 2 points. 2. Now, I'd argue the Blitz have looked better this year. And we know the Aztecs have lost a few players, to Europe or elsewhere. I think the Blitz still sneak it, but the I guess the romantic in me wants the Aztecs to maybe pull out a close win, so we've got something to look forward to. It's going to be tight. It really is going to be tight, but I think the Blitz win it. Mm-hmm. Looks quite dry.
Bullshit. There's a less than 5% chance of precipitation. It'll dry out by tomorrow. Yeah, I'm calling bull on that. Anyway, yeah, no, I think you're right. So I've had a couple of people message me about this. So, the Aztecs QB is not the guy they had last year. He's gone. So I think that will affect them in some way, shape, or form. I think they've got a guy from the Pride that's playing for them now, and he might be young and just needs some time to bed in. I don't actually know who the guy is, so that'll be interesting. The Blitz defense is apparently ferocious. I think their O still isn't quite there in terms of going to the Warriors and winning, but I can't see that. I don't know if I can see Bristol putting up enough points on the defense if it's that good. Yeah. I believe there's quite a lot of GB talent on that D line. Now this is another one. Blitz O-line looked very good last week. It did. It looked very good. I actually thought they'd maybe just be a bit more powerful over Solent, but they did look decent. If they can get rolling on offense, they'll be a very good side. So I actually think the Blitz are going to take this one as well. I think it'll be very close. 1 of 10 million. No, I think they do have a good few of them. I think they have a couple of Americans as well, but they don't have that many. But I think that the Blitz are probably going to take this one, but it's probably going to be fairly close.
I think the thing is like with the Blitz, is that we're not quite seeing like, remember a few years back, it was like every game the Warriors, the Blitz played was like 50 points, 50 points, 50 points, 50 points. But this year, 40 against Kent, 44 against Cambridgeshire, 37 against Solent. Their offense looks better than it has done. And the defense, we're being told is good. So I think that plays a factor. I'm hedging my bets on that, basically on the fact that the Aztecs have only played Kent so far.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, still calling bull. This was yesterday. Someone check the weather from the past. This is yesterday. Nah, I'm still calling bull. Anyway, you've got someone show me and I'll be fine. Right, on to our games this week then. So we know the score for this one. So I believe 23-9 to the Tamworth Phoenix.
Yeah.
So it's a competitive game. Not a huge amount of scoring from either teams, but kind of what we probably would have expected. I would have expected a Tamworth win. I thought it would maybe have been a little bit more, but East Kilbride are no mugs. They're a good team. The Wolves are obviously kind of on an upward tear at the moment because 37-7 was a bit of a shocker to us. So I think that 23-9 is probably going to set up a really interesting tie between Tamworth and the Wolves. But yeah, a Tamworth win would have been what we expected, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not. It's we've got so used to Tamworth just turning up, slapping 60 points, and leaving again. It's a bit of an adjustment. They're still winning football games, but it doesn't feel as good.
We are sure.
I seen that, yeah, but he's also their backup quarterback is also their kicker. So they may well have tried a fake field goal. I don't know. You have to worry for them if Bapti is injured because, but I did hear he took a bit of a beat down against Edinburgh. I think he got sacked, a fair few times and took more hits.
How many interceptions did he throw?
I think it was 6. was it 5 or 6? One got returned for a house call as well. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure we'll find out. But yeah, that could be huge for their season as well, especially so early on.
Who was the young lad that had playing? Was he not Sam Montgomery or something? His name was.
I think he left, didn't he?
Did he leave? Yeah, it will be interesting. Yeah, if he's hurt, it's a shame because he's a big part of their team. And he was certainly a big part of their win last year. Yeah, Scott McDonald.
I know him well.
Yeah, we know him well. So next one here is a bit interesting. So, and I say interesting. Oh, there you go. He went to Belgium to play. Good on him. So this is an interesting one on the fact that Nottingham are at home, so they're probably going to be really strong. Birmingham have obviously done a bit of recruiting, or they've managed to take their step up a little bit. But the Caesars are a different competition from the Romans this year, I think. Last year, the Caesars and Romans traded games, and I would think that the Romans were probably the stronger team. But this year, that's probably not the case. The Romans have already beat the Birmingham Bulls, so I think that Nottingham Caesars probably take this one maybe by 3 or 4 scores, I would think. It depends on how aggressive that Birmingham defense is. But for me, it's a Caesars win. Fairly comfortable decision.
Yeah, but I'm not necessarily with you on the 3 or 4 scores because the Birmingham Bulls have played 3 games this year. They beat the Knights by 2 points. They tied with the Romans. They lost to the Romans by 12. I mean, it might well be, but every game the Bulls have played has been a contest.
Yeah.
And I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be the case. But yeah, I expect Nottingham to win.
Yeah. A couple of things come up here. EKP struggled playing both ways. Yeah. And as a Premiership team, you can't have that.
No, it's also a long journey on a Saturday as well. But yeah,
as a Division 2 team, you expect people to be playing both ways. As a Division 1 team, the best ones don't have people playing both ways. As a Premiership team, you cannot afford to have people playing both ways.
Well, it's funny you should mention. It's funny you should mention that.
So do I.
I literally sent a message to some of my coaching staff from last year because we'll get to them later. The Bristol Apache 10 hours or 11 hours ago posted their starting lineup for tomorrow. And I messaged them going, oh, bully for you being able to post your starting lineup 2 days or a day and a half in advance. Meanwhile, on our first game of the season last year, I was looking around the bus to see who would be able to wear a lineman jersey.
Yeah, it's brutal, is it? And I think that's why I think Glasgow are going to be so strong. Knicks have had no starting QB since play 3 versus Titans and are still winning. Winning in the Prem is hard. Knicks definitely. Yeah, and they're not a bad team. I believe they've lost a fair few of their really good offensive linemen.
Well, it sounds like it might be a way to get some from Leicester.
Well, that certainly sounds like a way to get some players from Leicester, so that'll be an interesting one. Nottingham recruit, yeah, they have, and Grant's like we've promoted some stuff for Nottingham this year on our Instagram at Britball Breens, by the way. We've promoted some stuff for them on Instagram, and they look like they've done some brilliant recruiting. My biggest question, right? Actually, no. I'll wait until I get to no, I'm with the Nottingham game. My biggest question, right? When we have recruited student athletes in the past for other teams, come the start of like middle of June, half of them disappear. Is this likely to happen in Nottingham in the second half of the season? And it's not me digging, by the way. I'm actually asking a genuine question. Do we think that those student athletes will stay around after the university year's over? Or do you think that some of them will be lost to going home and they'll weaken off a bit? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It depends. I mean, often, like, students in their second, third, fourth year, they stay anyway, right?
Yeah.
But we'll wait and see. Hopefully not. It'd be good to see them kind of really go toe to toe.
It's also a bit different if you're playing for a championship, right?
Yeah.
Next one here, as I mentioned at the start of the show, Dunfermline. What are you playing at?
I mean, I'd say poke the bear, but it's more like I don't know what you do to a stag to wind up. Poke the stag. But I get it to just try to be a bit lighthearted and funny, but
and we like that.
The Dunfermline Kings social media on Twitter, at least anyway, has turned into a bit of a self-roast situation, which in one hand is funny and the other hand is just sad.
So there's two, right? There's one, they got put up that they were 14
games without a win, 14 straight losses, I think it was, and they pointed out that actually it was 15 in a rather humorous way. And then they pointed out that they were the only Scottish team to have beaten the Stags in a competitive game.
The last Scottish
Well, they're actually the only Scottish team to beat the Stags in a competitive game.
Yeah.
Everyone else has been like associate or whatnot. So they're actually the only Scottish team to beat the Stags in a competitive game.
Don't post that.
Why would you bring that on yourself, right? You have not scored a point in 11 of your last 12 games, I believe it is. You're on a 15-game losing streak. People are trying to say that the Stags need to go into the top 10. Why would you poke the bear? I just don't understand the logic. And I know for an absolute fact that made its way to the Stags players. I know it has, right? That's not I wonder if it did. I know it has.
Yeah.
I may have sent it.
You scumbag. But yeah, it is. It's good to have lighthearted social media. Let's be honest, it was funny.
It boils down to my issue with the start of the season, though. The Kings should never have been promoted into Division 1.
No.
Right? And it's not right on them either. Like, they're not even getting a chance to compete. And yeah, okay, there were some other teams that went up with them, like Aberdeen and Clyde Valley, and the Inverclyde Goliaths were supposed to come down, and but then they stayed in Division 1 anyway. But the Kings got, what was it, 60 hung on them by Clyde Valley last week, and to add to that, over the 2 games against the Blackhawks, they've thrown 6 interceptions to Tam Chapman alone.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? Including a pick 6. You've thrown 6 interceptions to one player. Just a little bit of sound advice for you. If the same guy has picked you off 5 times, stop throwing there.
I mean, right? he's also 6'4".
It's not... Yeah, but
you can't miss him.
You know he's there, right? Like
he's watching.
You know he's there, right? And like, I remember saying to my quarterback last year when we played Clyde Valley, I don't mind saying this now. I said to him, right, you're going to do you're going to follow through with the play action. I want you to read off of Tam Chapman. If he commits to the run, put it behind him. But if you even see him stand still, do not throw the ball behind him. He didn't move. My quarterback pulled the ball, threw it to Chapman, who literally went, "Thank you very much," and picked it off. And I was absolutely spewing on the sideline that my advice wasn't taken, right?
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. As I say, learn from your mistakes. I like the humor side. I get it, but that's not what Division 1's about. Division 1 teams are supposed to be aspiring to move upwards in the world, and this game does not have refs, right? This game does not have officials. That's even worse.
I know.
Now I know the Stags, and I know they're not a particularly vengeful team, right?
Yeah.
But why?
These are no mindless rabble of
these guys didn't come from Mordor. These guys came from wherever it is.
Saruman,
Isengard.
Yeah.
These guys came from Isengard, not from Mordor. Like, I mean, I'm genuinely fear.
Put your brother in the scumbag section. Yeah.
I'm genuinely fearful for what the scoreline is tomorrow. And I mean, it's going to be a long year for the Kings. And do I think they're going to score a point this year? shaking my magic 8-ball and it's saying "ask again later." I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not. I'm
think I'm
not
on the same
convinced.
page as you here. I think the Highland Stags are clearly one of the better teams in this division. I think they'll hammer them. Absolutely hammer them. The only thing them from have going for them is they're at home. That's about it. So I think Stags take this one by some margin. This game, however, is a slightly more interesting one. And the only reason I say that is because if you look at last year, they split the series, and Inverclyde would have went down purely on points difference. Now, again, as I've said numerous times already, my belief is that Glasgow are a better team this year than they have been for many, many years. And I say I watched them play. They had 420 rushing yards. And we know the Aberdeen Roughnecks defense isn't crap. So they had 420 rushing yards, and they probably would have had even more if they'd actually just stuck to the run. But I guess if you're getting to the point where you're doing that many yards, you can probably open up the pass game. If they are more physical than the Goliaths, is normally what the Goliaths are good for. They're more physical than everybody else. If they're more physical than the Goliaths, they'll beat them, right?
The thing is, though, remember these guys have played already this year.
Glasgow and Inverclyde haven't, have they?
Yes, yeah, they have.
Have
They
they
played.
actually?
Yeah, it was 40-0 to the Tigers.
Oh, in that case, it'd just be a thumping.
Which is why I don't think it'll be interesting at all. But I don't know. I believe in the first game of the season or whatever, the Goliaths lost their quarterback, coach, running back, wherever he is. He's a bit of a, let's just call him offensive weapon. I don't mean that as an offensive term, like Bud. Apparently they lost somebody on the line that was pretty key as well. But yeah, they've played already, and it was 40-0 to the Tigers.
Sorry, I didn't even know that. I think the Glasgow Tigers have beat them anyway, but I totally didn't realise they'd played already.
It's okay though, because they did actually provide a perfect punchline to what we've been saying for so long. Because for some reason,
on numbers only,
numbers only, but numbers only. But by strength of the man, Isengard takes it. Unless you factor in, the specialist players such as the Witch King, different story. But this game is, for me, I don't see how it's going to be close. But the reason I say it's funny, because they've gone to the punchline of what we've said for so long, is someone might correct me here, but I believe that the Inverclyde Goliaths are playing their home game at the home field of the Glasgow Tigers.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah, exactly. But we always say, like, when we first spoke about Inverclyde, we got the whole, it's not Glasgow, we're the south or west or whatever of Glasgow. It's not actually Glasgow. I believe they're playing their home game at the home field of the Glasgow Tigers.
Oh, correct, apparently. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's a weird one. So yeah, we know which way that's going to go then. I didn't realize they'd played already. Oh, there's an issue with their pitch apparently. Was it waterlogged?
Still, if you're close enough to host your home game at the home field of the home team, right? If you're close enough to host your home game at the home field of the home team, then I'm sorry, you're clearly very, very close.
Yes,
which is a point we've made. Yeah.
Yes, we've made this point numerous times. Okay, next one is still an interesting one, because let's be fair, Bristol have done well in their first games in the division. Hertfordshire kind of they beat Oxford fairly comfortably, and then they went away to Wales and they beat them as well. So traveling to Bristol probably won't bother them too much. I think that they'll be too strong for Bristol. Their defense hasn't let up a point yet, which is no surprise because it's always been pretty tough. And this Bristol will give them a game. They will. Whether they can score on that defense regularly, different story. I think that defense is something to be reckoned with, and if they are getting to the point where they are putting up points, which they have so far this year, and I actually don't know if it's defensive points that defense is putting up the points or offense. I actually haven't seen that many highlights. But if they are getting to the point where this year they aren't turning the ball over so much and they are scoring points on offense, dangerous team, really dangerous team. So I think Hertfordshire probably take this one by 2 scores.
Interesting. Like, I would stop your sentence where you said if they can score on this defense, consistently. I would just rephrase that to just say if they can score on this defense, right? The Hertfordshire defense has been good for years. It is still good, and well, right, Aaron. I'm just saying, if you go onto League Republic, it says it sounds like it's actually going to be like at any point we could get this Stone Cold music, and he comes out to assist the Bristol Apache because it says Bristol Apache versus Hertfordshire Cheetahs at the Bristol Aztecs. So you might get that shattered glass, and oh my god, it's the Bristol Aztecs. You never know, but the Hertfordshire defence are very good. This will be the second time they've travelled to Wales this year. Craig Barnard, appreciate that joke.
Bristol isn't in Wales.
It's close enough.
It's close enough.
That's what Craig would, that's what Craig would say. It's pretty much true, Wales. Yeah. That's why I'm saying Craig would have appreciated it. So it'll be the second time they've travelled to Wales this year. I think it should be a good game, but again, I need to see the Apache score against the Cheetahs. Very much just south of Newcastle.
Same place.
A little southwest. But yeah, I think that defense should be good enough for Hertfordshire to see out a tough road trip.
Yeah, I think if that's on that new field, that's class. Like that field that looks amazing. So hopefully Bristol go out and we were like, this is our field, and they give them a really good game. But I think Hertfordshire come out on top in this one. Next game on the list here. So again, after me saying it is genuine, like we have underestimated the Cats a bit, or I have
the Cats.
The Cats. Honestly, I burped halfway through there. The Cambridgeshire Cats are hosts in London, which helps, and I believe their QB is really good. But yeah, I mean, this will be your first like wake up call to the big boys in the Premiership South, and I reckon London will want to show them who's who, and it'll probably be a fairly comfortable game for them.
You think? I mean, London Warriors, what are you talking, 76 against
new QB.
I hope so.
You savage.
Well, first of all, because historically their offense has struggled, and they have a tendency to turn the ball over at really annoying times. Secondly, the quarterback they had against the Oxford Saints wore number 84, and it wound me up. The Canes, the Oxford Saints, the quarterback wore number 84, and it annoyed my happiness. The London Warriors, they won 70-6 against Kent and 49-3 against Solent. They look strong. I follow their Instagram stories because they pretty much run a play-by-play. They look absolutely immaculate. Yeah. And it's not a slight to the Cambridgeshire Cats. The London Warriors will win. They will win going away.
And you know this, like, one thing that's interesting about that is the Warriors will clearly not have been happy last year. They won't have been. Not the fact they lost, but by how they lost.
It was the manner, wasn't it? It was the manner in which they lost.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't really look like they were competing in it at all.
No.
And
they will not have been happy.
No.
And that'll be sitting with them. And realistically, depending on how good the Blitz actually are, or whether the Aztecs are still that kind of level that they were last year when they almost beat Manchester in the semis, I get the feeling that London are going to want to run over everybody and then go, come and get us, Manchester. Like, we're gonna have a go at you. Manchester won't be scared of them. Manchester will be like, come on then, But exactly. At the same time, they will not be happy in the way they lost that final. So I expect them not to take any prisoners this year, and I think they'll win this one comfortably. Next one was on my list as a potential game of the week. Purely because the Romans aren't the team they were last year, or certainly doesn't seem to be that way. They've lost their starting QB. They've got a new QB, I believe. But Samuel Steelers, I've been watching some of the stuff they're doing, and it's just kind of the not the fact they've got new uniforms and that's all great, but it just seems like they're building the right kind of
culture.
Culture.
Culture
Yeah.
is the word you're looking for.
Culture is the word I'm looking for. And they might well come out this week with a lot of people thinking, oh, it's Sandwell the last year and they've come down and blah, blah, blah. But they might come out this week to go, well, Chester were a playoff team last year. Let's go show everybody that we can compete with them. And whether they beat them or not, it's a different story. Generally, I don't think they beat them purely because Chester are at home. I think this would be a 3 to 6 point game, you know. And the only reason it's not a game of the week is because Blitz versus Aztecs has been a 2 point game last 2 games. So I think it'll be a 3 to 6 point game, maybe a 1-score game. And for me, I think the Chester Romans might win this purely because they're at home.
Yeah, I mean, I speak to some of the guys from Sandwell, and they seem to be building the right things.
Yeah.
I believe that was a suggestion about the elf, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've certainly heard rumors, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love what they're trying to build in Sandwell. Their downside is they've got an incredibly tough division this year. I feel like Chester away first game is too soon to see that take full effect.
Yes.
And they have had a horrifically long preseason, by the way. This is Sandwell's first game of the year.
Yeah. Which is mental.
Which, yeah, you get a chance to run through some more stuff, but we all know the situation. Guys start to switch off a little bit, when you have to wait that long and you're not playing the games. So I think it's a jump too far for Sandwell this week, but I think this will be a good competitive game.
Yes, agreed. I think it's going to be a brilliant game. It was on my list to use game of the week, so I'm hoping it'll be a good game. Next one's also interesting. I've had a few folk that reckon Colchester take this, and I've had lots of folk that think East Kent take this. Now again, does it depend on the weather? Are East Kent a passing team, and all of a sudden, if it's a nice day, they thump everybody, and if it's pissing with rain, they struggle to score as much? Don't know. But Colchester versus Sussex week 1 apparently was torrential rain. Right?
No, it got called early. Due to thunder and lightning, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think it got called early due to thunder, which is hilarious. And I think that I don't know. Colchester are at home, but if the East Kent Mavericks are as strong as they showed against Ipswich, it's hard to go against them, right? Realistically, this will do a lot to our power rankings. If East Kent come out and they thump Colchester, they will jump right up. Right? If it's a close game, they'll both be up in the top 5, but it'll be really high. But do we give Colchester the edge at home? I don't know. I think East Kent take this one, but I don't think it's going to be a hammering. I think Colchester are going to give them a game.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say because the thing with Sussex is, although they got relegated last year, they didn't look like a bad football team. Like, they had their moments. The offense moved the ball. So for Colchester to, over 2 games, hold them to 8 points in each game, like, they've obviously got a strong defense, and they put 20 up on them. Okay, Sussex defense hasn't looked that great the last couple of years or whatever, but they're clearly, the Gladiators are clearly a team to consider.
Yes.
I mean, based on the whispers and the rumors and what you were hearing through the mill, I backed the Mavericks to win the division, and then seen their score against the Sabres and thought, ugh. And then they obviously won convincingly against the Cardinals. I think it's close, but I do think the Mavericks win. I think they're maybe just getting into their stride.
Yeah, it's certainly been an interesting one. That one had to do a lot for her. Yorkshire Rams versus waterlogged pitch. So that's a shame that one's been called off.
Yeah, it's really been derailed.
Aha, yeah. This one, DC Presents versus Gateshead Senators, likely won't be close. Gateshead are shipping points, but they're also putting up points. DC, we both have our opinions about DC, but realistically, I don't think it'll be that competitive. I think Gateshead will easily win this one, and I don't think it tells us anything either. I think that they'll go away to them, they'll win, and that'll be that.
I mean, I'm just personally, I'm glad they got spared the chop so that they could get their ass kicked up and down the field all year this year. They
Yeah.
just, I don't see much point in it. I mean, I know Gateshead are shipping points, but they're also scoring pretty much at will at the
Yeah.
moment as
And they've
well.
also been a consistent team in the league for years and years and years.
Yeah, and
Not been
you know,
hokey dokeyed.
the presidents got walloped by the prisoners, and you know, Gateshead tied with them. Logic would suggest this isn't going to be close.
Yeah. No, it's not. Gateshead should comfortably take this one. Another game now. Essex are going to be hurting big time after last week. So Norwich are legit. They must be legit. Like Essex are not a bad team, right? They maybe aren't a really strong Division One team, but they're not a bad team. And Norwich stripped them to bits. Now, again, this is a division that who knows, you know, London Hornets could quite easily turn up and win 30-0, or could quite easily turn up and lose 21-0. I don't get it, but they're away from home. Now they won the first game away from home 22-0, and then they lost their home game. Like just crazy. Realistically, they should win this game. It should be the London Hornets' game to lose. Essex are at home. They will not want to show in like Norwich last week. They will be coming out, I would think, fighting and make a game of it. I think I'll be fairly close. London Hornets to win this one, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to say it and say I don't see any reason why Essex will actually be able to win this game. Hornets, but this division's an absolute like abomination for us at the moment. But yeah, I think okay, I think the Hornets had a bit of a disaster class against the Stallions, but I know Essex at the start of the season had a slightly thinner squad. Maybe that's starting to take its toll a bit already, and I think the Hornets get the job done.
Yeah. Poppelhoff will be able to tell us if he's watching.
Well, they were on the list.
10 years.
They were on the list as well.
They were on the list.
Were they not at were they at 14 or were they at 19? Pop off, and if you're watching, give us a shout what DC were at on the list, because I also surprisingly got very few bites when I suggested that any team that goes on a 20-game losing streak should be demoted to associate, and surprisingly that didn't bring the heat I thought it would.
Who broke theirs last week? Shropshire.
Must have been.
Was it Shropshire?
I think was there not two teams broke it?
I can't remember who it was. Anyway, well, I'm sure you'll tell us. Ipswich Cardinals versus Sussex Thunder. This one might have a bit of spice to it because Sussex lost 20-8 to Colchester, but I generally think Colchester are a decent team. Ipswich beat East Essex Sabres and then got thumped by Kent Mavericks. And we are assuming that the Colchester East Kent Maverick game might be relatively close, but East Kent might take it. So I reckon that this is dependent on what Sussex team show up. I think if their squad is a bit better than it has been and Colchester are generally good, this will be a close game. If Sussex are still down doldrums like they were last season, I think Ipswich take it. I'm going to say Ipswich will win this one by a score.
A score?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I think, I've been surprised.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. I thought there was maybe two, but no, I must have been wrong. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Colchester looked good. Ipswich, I don't know. I'm never really sold on them. They always look all right and then follow up by looking a bit naff. And they need to change the logo, but we'll discuss that at a later date.
Crazy Cardinal.
I think they did change from that to the IC, but it's not that much better. It's a little better, but not much. I kind of like Sussex are another of these teams on a massive losing streak. I kind of want the Thunder to break it, but the results against Colchester just make me a little bit nervous about this, and I think Ipswich win.
Yeah.
Again, I think this division is going to be tight all year, but yeah, I think Ipswich win.
Yeah, I'm going to say this one: relegation battle.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's a relegation battle. I think Nighthawks are doomed.
You're in savage mode today.
It's because I'm not getting my weekly fix of being supportive and speaking about teams. I've got to cut to the chase. I've only got so many weeks to do it this year.
Technically, I think you're right, but at the same time, it is technically a relegation battle because they are the bottom two teams.
Yes, no, I agree with that. But I think Leicester looked far better against Tamworth than they did against Edinburgh, and Merseyside got absolutely shellacked by EKP.
By everybody.
Wasn't it at home as well? It was a home game against EKP, and they got battered. Yeah, I don't think it's a relegation battle. I think the Nighthawks are. It's a matter of time. But we'll wait and see. I was speaking about Sussex Thunder, by the way. They are on. It was 16-game losing streak, so they are getting perilously close to the 20 mark. So yeah, I do hope they break it. But no, this game, I think Leicester win it. I think they win it comfortably. I wouldn't be too shocked to see 3-4 scores.
Yeah, I think Merseyside at home. I think that'll do a little bit for them against Leicester. But yeah, I think the Leicester will probably win this one. But I don't think it'll be huge scores like some of the other teams have put up on Merseyside. But I think that Leicester will win this one and start to put a nail in the coffin for Merseyside. South Wales Warriors versus Rushmore Knights. Again, another one of the nightmare division. I'll let you go first. You can go first for this one.
Thanks. I appreciate that. That's really nice of you. I mean, we've spoke this to death, really, haven't we, with this division? We look at Rushmore. What was it? A 36-13 win over Oxford, and then a 52-27 thumping from Bournemouth, and then they beat the Apache 21-20. So outside of they're scoring points. Clearly, they're scoring points. They're also shipping a boatload at the same time. And then South Wales Warriors, have just given me a second.
They just lost to Hertfordshire at home pretty comfortably, 29-0.
Yeah, but I think a lot of teams are going to struggle with Hertfordshire. But they beat Bournemouth, who absolutely hammered Rushmore, and then got thumped by Hertfordshire. I don't know.
It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense.
I don't know. It's in Wales.
Wales.
Yeah.
Wales.
Yeah, it's Wales. Same thing.
That is my worst.
It's a whale.
Whale.
No, it's like cool. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to side with the home team. But quite frankly, if I'm wrong, I would not be shocked in the slightest.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. I think that South Wales are at home. I think they will potentially win this one. I think the defense shows up. I actually made a mistake earlier saying Hertfordshire hadn't conceded a point. They have. They conceded 3. But yeah, I think South Wales at home. I don't think Rushmore are as good as Hertfordshire, and I think they might have enough to potentially win this one. They beat the Bournemouth Bobcats on the road, so Bournemouth Bobcats absolutely thumped Rushmore. So that's where I'll go with that one, I think. Yeah, it's Britball logic. Honestly, it's mental. This year,
there's normally at least a reasonable level of understanding to it. Normally, you can see how things are going or whatever. Like if a team has a particularly strong defense or a productive offense, but that division, I just don't know.
Yeah, bonkers, isn't it? So it's certainly going to be fun all year. Staffordshire Surge versus Shropshire is a really interesting one because these teams used to trade blows all the time. And then Shropshire had that really good year. They won the division, got their rings, got promoted. Haven't played each other really since, I don't think. Or did they play each other in the COVID year? Oh, I can't remember.
They might have. I can't remember.
Anyway, they've not played each other in the proper season for a long time, and they used to trade blows. Surge have came in this season way above my expectations so far, even though the people they've played haven't been amazing. They've come in way above what I thought they would be. Shropshire did not look as convincing as I thought they'd be last week. So this should be a cracking game. I am going to side with Shropshire on this one, but I don't think it'll be much. This was another one that was on the Game of the Week list. I think this is going to be really close.
Yeah, I mean, you like to hope that the reason that Shropshire kind of looked a bit ropey is because they were trying to crack that losing streak. Yeah.
Gads. Yeah.
So they haven't won a game since 2013.
Rotten. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you like to think maybe they were on a very long losing streak. Did they just could they just really struggle to see out games, get over that hump? I don't know. But then it's Lincolnshire that got beat handily by the Miners, and then the Miners who got beat handily by the Surge. Again, it's another division that might well be like just I don't know what's happening this week, but the Surge are at home. I think Shropshire will be better now they've got that win under their belt. But I don't know. I think the Surge might nick it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be mighty close. It was too close for us to call this one, I think. But we're split, so we'll see where that one goes. The question came up earlier: are Oxford going to get the first win? No, I don't think so this week, and that's not me being horrible.
You
We
like the
like
minion
Oxford.
there? No.
Yeah, we like Oxford, and they haven't. They're not a bad team. They are a decent team, but again, you look at the results there. They lost 36-13 to Rushmoor, who then shipped 55 points to Bournemouth. So 52 points, sorry. So yeah, I can't see them winning this one, even though they're at home. Again, SFC West, any given Sunday, never know. But in my opinion, Bournemouth will be too much for them, and I think they'll win this one.
Yeah, I think we kind of, I guess you almost kind of have to, I don't want to say ignore Bournemouth's loss, because how do you ignore that? But like, they're still a decent football team. The Saints are a good football team as well. But I think, I honestly just think that lack of confidence, I think that lack of, being able to see themselves over the line, because again, they're on a 10-game losing streak as well. I think that becomes a factor, and I think Bournemouth win.
Yeah. Last game of the day. So Clyde Valley Blackhawks versus Aberdeen. Now this is always close. It's been close for years. It's always decent games. They're always pretty physical. I don't have any insider information on either of them this week. So I actually don't know. Are the Roughnecks full strength?
They don't tell me anything.
No, do they not?
Nah, I'm not 100% sure, but I do think they're as close as they probably have been to full strength this game. So
I can't see, even if their starting QB isn't there, I can't see them giving the ball away an awful lot. They just don't tend to do that. So, yeah, I think that CVB have the Roughnecks have kind of had CVB's number the last couple of times they've played them. There is away from home, but Glasgow played Rangers today and Rangers won. So
Glasgow played Rangers.
Celtic played Rangers. Sorry, guys. Celtic played Rangers today. There might be a few sore heads in the CVB team. Like they don't play on Old Firm weekend days. So I think that Aberdeen might have an edge there, and I'm just going to say that Aberdeen are going to nick this one by probably one score or two scores.
I think, I don't know, like it's on the road. It's a 4 p.m. kickoff.
There you go. Starting QB's there. So yeah, it makes a difference.
And like, this game is always close. It's at Clyde Valley. I don't know if Aberdeen will be rocking the new unis yet. Probably not, because
Benzone can tell us. Benzone.
I don't think they'll be wearing them this weekend, because
they surely save it for their first home game.
I don't know, but the thing with the Roughnecks is that
did they? That's unusual. We were told that they never play on an Old Firm day. They distinctly try.
I think they try and avoid it, but they don't always get it.
Oh, they are wearing their new kits.
Ooh. Aberdeen opened their season with 2 home games against the 2 tougher teams in the division that everyone's saying we should be having in the power rankings. On the flip side to that, Clyde Valley's 3 games have been 2 against the Kings and 1 against the Stags, where they got blown away. Now I know they made a lot of changes after the Stags game. I know there was I don't think the head coach was actually at the Stags game. I think he was away somewhere as well. So there's nothing to suggest that this game won't be close. It always is. No matter who I pick, I'm going to be getting abusive messages for the rest of my day. So I'm going to go with the mantra of Aberdeen rocking the new unis, look good, feel good, play good, and I think the sneak out win.
Yeah, I think the QB makes a difference. I've never seen him play until a couple of weeks ago, and he's clearly physically a really good player. He makes right decisions, and he can run, which is always good to playing golf instead of the Stags game. Yeah. So yeah, it's certainly an interesting week. I think because we're not doing this as often as we normally do, we get it gives us kind of a better look. But realistically, some of the SFC stuff is just SFC 1 is just mental. So yeah, but some really interesting games this week. Some really interesting games next week. I'll try and put the power rankings up before I go offshore. It should be interesting to see what I come up with, depending on what they're going, what happens this weekend. And we'll try and get another show in the next couple of weeks. I've only got 7 weeks to get married now, Chris. So after that, we're a no-go for at least 4. So I'll try and get that done, and we'll see how we go. Again, thanks for joining us. It's been another good show, and we'll try and put our stuff out. Again, Instagram, we're starting to use that a bit more. We've been a bit useless with it the last few years. Instagram and Twitter, we're trying to use them a bit more. So if you want to follow us or share on him, us at Britball Breens is the Instagram. Is it same for Twitter, Chris?
I'll find out.
I'm sure it's at Britball Breens.
At Britball Breens, yeah, capital B's.
Yeah, I'll type it in here. So if you would like to post anything or send us any videos of that, feel free. If not, we'll look forward to seeing the games, and hopefully we'll get some more live stream from Sport Tank, who are doing a lot of work at that just now. You'll have to do a play of the season at this cadence. Yeah,
but we'll still only get 3 clips sent to us.
I know. This last year we put out the awards that we selected, and someone came up posted up saying, "Oh, but my percentage was better." I said, "Did you send it to me?" No. Well, how am I supposed to know? So hopefully when we do put out this kind of stuff at the end of the year, play of the season, etc., folk will send them in. Come closer to the end of the year, and we'll hopefully get some good ones. But thank you very much for joining. We will catch you again in a couple of weeks, hopefully, and have a good Sunday playing your games. Catch you after. See you later.
See you later.